Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Apple Watch Series 4 and see how this particular Apple Watch holds up in the year of 2025. Now, what's very interesting about this particular Apple Watch, one, I think it's the first Apple Watch I've reviewed this year, but two, this is my current everyday Apple Watch that I'm using. This is the Apple Watch that I go to every single day. I put it to charge, I pick it up, I put it on my wrist. You can check out my second channel too. All my videos on Apple Watches are usually this one. So I get to talk about it. I'm very happy about it. But this is interesting because I'm pretty sure this is going to be the year I'm going to upgrade my Apple Watch. I'm probably going to go for maybe like a Series 8, maybe a Series 7 if I can find it at a good price. I very rarely buy even the newest ones. But here's the thing. This Apple Watch, I think it still performs decently well for the things I kind of use with it. If you look at the outside of this Apple Watch, this thing comes out in two different sizes. It comes out in the 40mm size and that 44mm size. This was the first time Apple ever kind of increased the size of their Apple Watches when this thing first came out back in 2018. But you can imagine nowadays, this thing is definitely kind of showing its age a little bit, considering that nowadays we do have the Apple Watches that are giving us like 41 and 42 and 46mm sizes at this point or whatever it is. So this thing definitely has more bezel, but it's definitely not that ugly. I still think it looks pretty decent. Now, you are getting your side button on this thing and that digital crown. Still works perfectly fine. Don't really have too many issues when it comes down to that side. You still have the bands on this thing too, which still look great. And from those things and those situations, I don't really have that much to complain about here. Like the bands still interchange with all the current Apple Watches. So genuinely, in my opinion, I think this thing still holds up very well from the exterior. However, there are a few things to keep in mind. Now, number one, when you are comparing kind of the outside of this particular device, it is kind of, it still holds up well, in my personal opinion, from the outside. But the inside is kind of the problem. This is essentially the issues that we're experiencing with the inside of this Apple Watch. Now, number one, this thing basically does give you the S4 chipset. Because this was the fourth generation of Apple Watch, this thing is definitely kind of showing its age a little bit, as you can probably imagine. So this thing from that side, it's not the best performing Apple Watch. It isn't the best, it's not the best looking, but it also doesn't look that bad. With watchOS 10 right now, which is what I'm rocking this thing on, this is kind of where it's at right now. It may end up continuing on, with watchOS, the future updates. But honestly, with Apple Watches, you don't really need the latest and greatest software on it. Many times, I'm still on watchOS 10. I feel like I could have watchOS 10 on this watch for 2 years and not really run into too many issues. As long as your iPhone supports the watchOS version you're on, then you should be good to go. Beyond that, you're not really getting insane amount of Apple Watch features when compared to the latest generation. So you're not getting any sort of blood oxygen sensors on this thing, no body temperature monitoring, anything like that. You're not getting an always on display on this thing either. So that is essentially one of the bigger problems you're kind of experiencing here. And on top of that, because, it's not going to be getting really many more versions of watchOS now, it was the oldest supported Apple Watch on those versions of software. So that was kind of a big thing there. This thing is pretty much outdated when it comes down to software. This thing doesn't really, doesn't have the most amount of features inside of it, but it's still my go-to Apple Watch, and it was my go-to Apple Watch for a couple of years now. But the reason I'm wanting to upgrade, and why this year might be the year I might say maybe this Apple Watch is not worth buying anymore, is because it feels a little bit more outdated when compared to the latest Apple Watch. Now that we're on the Series 10, that is a killer Apple Watch. That thing has a bunch of features. The Series 4, the battery life hasn't really been that great. The performance and speed and all that stuff still feel perfectly fine. It's just the battery life that's really kind of irking me. And I definitely want to go get another Apple Watch that's going to be giving me a little bit of a better experience there. So in my personal opinion, when I look at the Apple Watch and look at the remainder of this year, I think if you currently own an Apple Watch Series 4, you could probably make it the end of this year and not feel like you're going to be missing out on too much. But if you're currently looking for an Apple Watch, at the bare minimum, I would recommend going for the Apple Watch Series 5 or the Apple Watch SE first generation. Those are the two Apple Watches I would recommend buying. Beyond that, I don't think I would go lower than that, like the Series 4 like this one. But I think the Series 5 and the SE ones are the ones I'd probably recommend people to kind of go towards more so than this Apple Watch, Series 4. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.